This morning, the U.S. Supreme Court is examining its first major gay rights issue in 10 years. Lines of people waited outside the court since Thursday to get a seat at today's arguments. Tomorrow, the court considers the federal law that prevents legally married gay couples from receiving benefits that are given to straight couples. Both sides of the debate are represented along with demonstrators outside the court today. Now, back here at home, a small group of gay marriage supporters held a demonstration in downtown Honolulu to highlight the court's hearings. A decision on the measures may not come for months, but legal experts say the 2 days of arguments by the justices could indicate how the High Court could rule. Now, because of the cases before the High Court, Hawaii's lawsuits on same-sex marriage are on hold. Hawaii's congressional delegation back at home this week during a 2-week recess from Congress, but work still needs to be done, from the issue of same-sex marriage to the ongoing effects from the across-the-board budget cuts. And joining us this morning is the Congresswoman herself, Hanabusa, to talk about these latest efforts going on in Washington. Good morning, Congresswoman, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Mahia. Happy Kuhio Day and happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you so much, and happy Kuhio Day to you, too. Now, I know it's been a lot of talk in the political circles, and I know you've been asked many, many times, but I have to ask you this morning, what are your political plans for the future? Are you planning to run for governor against Neil Abercrombie or run for the Senate against Senator Brian Schatz?
That is a question I get asked a lot. And my response has always been, you know, that's a very major decision. And when I do make it, I'll let you know. But I always have made those political decisions with what I believe is in the best interest of Hawaii.
When do you plan on making an announcement?
You know, I've also been asked that question a lot. I know that it's a decision that's going to have to be made shortly, simply because the primary election is, I think, August 6th of next year. And whatever decision is made, and you know, I do have the alternative of running for re-election. So I can tell you, without a doubt, I'm running in 2014.
All right. One other thing that I had to ask you in regards to your political future, you know, a lot of the Congress members, all 4 of them for a matter of fact, have said that the team is united in terms of working for the issues for Hawaii. But how can the team really be united when there's all this political maneuvering behind the scenes in terms of who's running for what?
I think that we're able to separate who's running for what and who's doing what. I think it's because you can't forget the fact that we're 4 very independent and different people. And it isn't necessarily true that we will vote alike, for example, on various issues. But I think that on the critical issues, that when it comes to Hawaii, we can count on each other at least to have that discussion and then to either respectfully disagree or to move on to the next issue, and whether we do it together or not, we at least know where each other stands. And that is something that many delegations do not have the benefit of.
As you know, same-sex marriage is going to be the hot issue in our U.S. Supreme Court this week and today. Where do you stand on the issue of same-sex marriage, and what are you hearing from your constituents as the tide is turning in terms of this issue?
You know, the Congressional District 1 is a very diverse district, as you can imagine. And people are split on various issues all over the place. And I feel for myself that marriage equality, which is the way the proponents prefer that it be labeled now, its time has come. And I think that you'll find that in the Supreme Court decisions. The Supreme Court decisions will uphold both Prop 8, the decision on Prop 8, finding it unconstitutional, and basically on the DOMA issue as well, which is the Windsor case. The question is only going to be how the court arrives there. And I think it's going to be based on standing, because one of the most interesting things to watch when the Supreme Court has these arguments is to see whether it actually orders an amicus brief on its own. And it did do that in the DOMA case on the issue of standing. And that will say whether or not the decision will be limited or what the consequences of that decision will be.
Let's talk about these sequestration effects. These are rolling effects that people are starting to see. And what are you doing in Congress right now to help people who've been affected by these budget cuts?
You know, sequestration is something that, as people may or may not remember, it was because that was the only way the debt ceiling could be raised in 2011. And where I believe Congress and the administration failed is that it took so long to really recognize the fact that sequestration would actually take effect. Everyone thought it would not. it is unfortunate. One of the major things that is unfortunate as to how we're proceeding with it is that defense is, to a certain extent, protected. However, the major part, which affects people, is not. There are different budgets, and the most important part of it is what we call operations and maintenance. And that's going to have a shortfall of about $10 billion for this short period of time, which makes an impact. So what we're trying to do is minimize it as much as possible, and to work with the Defense Department to say, hey, you know, where you have some flexibility, are we able to do something to prevent the impact in Hawaii? If you go on the website for the White House, you actually see how the White House anticipated sequestration to affect Hawaii, and most of it is in the defense area. However, where you're going to feel it are in, like, potentially preschool issues and different types of education-related issues.
Right, it's many, many sectors
yes,
of our
it
community.
Is.
And finally, I have to ask you, Congresswoman, you took on Bill O'Reilly of Fox News. It was a pretty shocking interview. The two of you had a war of words over his report, basically characterizing Hawaii. What was it like going up against Bill O'Reilly, and do you think you got your message across in that debate? You know,
it's very interesting, because the reality of it is that you don't really see him. You're speaking to a black screen is what it is, and you have a delay, and then he's able to, he just talks over you. I think the message was that, you know, when you're from Hawaii and you grew up in Waianae, right, nobody's going to say you punked out. So the most important issue was we don't punk out in Hawaii, and we actually go up against even people like Bill O'Reilly. And the irony of it is that I want the people in Hawaii to know, is before I went on, all I heard was how wonderful Hawaii is. We love it. We come here for vacations. And, you know, that's why I was saying, you know, I don't know where you're vacationing, at the swimming pool. I mean, how can you say these things about the people of Hawaii? And it's really the fact that he's able to get away with it. But like I said, the most important message was, hey, you say something about us, we're not going to take it. We're going to come back and we're going to stand up for Hawaii.
Well, it was certainly a memorable interview. Congresswoman Colleen Hanabusa, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Maya.
And to see this interview again, you can go to the top videos section of our website, KITV.com. It is 6:40.